Hi, I'm Lauren, a mom, former teacher turned children's book author, and your host who joins special guests each episode as we share our top kid-lit picks for sparking hard conversations the easy way. Yep, that means everything from tackling bullying and out-of-control anger to celebrating diversity, inclusion, and leading with kindness, plus so much more. My whole mission of my own children's book series, Blooming Rose, is to provide social and emotional support tools for in and out of the classroom, and this podcast is my way to expand that mission even further. So stay tuned as we dive into this week's topic on the Blooming Books podcast. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another fun episode of the Blooming Books podcast. Our guest today is a board-certified OBGYN and co-owner of a physician-led postpartum recovery center in Atlanta with over a decade of experience in the medical field. And as a busy wife and mom of two, she's now taken on the role of children's book author. So we'll, of course, talk all about her book, Penelope and the Power of Positivity in a bit. But welcome to the podcast, Dr. Charnetta Williams.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I cannot thank you enough for the invite because I've listened to your podcast and I've seen some, and I feel really honored to be like among those guests.
Yes, no, I saw the cover of your book and I was like, immediately, yes. Like that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. We want to talk about it for sure. So thanks so much for joining us. I do like to lighten the mood with some silly rapid fire questions to start off and get to know you a little bit more about you. So are you ready?
Sure, let's go.
Number one, what kind of music do you listen to lift your mood? We'll be talking about positive vibes this episode. So what do you kind of turn to?
Yeah, so I think it depends on sort of like what vibe I'm going for, right? Like if I just need a little encouragement, I might throw in some gospel. But if I'm like, I kind of want to like move a little bit, I go to Cardi B.
Yeah.
Something I found really helpful, like when I'm like struggling on the treadmill or trying to get through a workout, that song Dream On by Aerosmith, like I don't know.
There's just, there's something about certain songs that really touch you. And it's like you can't help but just start moving and like, forgetting all of whatever you're stressing out about at the time. But I love that power about music.
Yeah.
Okay. So number two, do you have a favorite affirmation you use for yourself and your kids? And we'll get more into affirmations in a minute too, but do you have a favorite one?
So two that I've been using a lot lately. One is, like if my kid, I have a 6-year-old and now a 4-year-old as of this past weekend.
Oh, mine too. His birthday, he's 7 now this weekend, but yeah.
Nice. So yeah, so they're learning all kinds of things. So sometimes I say like I can't, and I'm like, well, can't do it. What? You have to add yet to it. So that's
Yes.
one, right? And then another thing that I've been kind of telling myself and just other people who are looking for advice, I'm like, everything is figure outable. It's not the most glamorous thing, but there really is an answer to everything, I believe. And sometimes answer is doing nothing, right? Like that's the answer. But I think everything is figure outable. So,
Yes. I love that. And I love the yet because I think kids especially want to jump to, oh, but can't do that. Nope, can't. That's too much. But it's like, okay, let's take a breath. Let's take it one step at a time and see where it leads us. So I love that. Okay. And lastly, what is one book or show that you've been loving lately? Are you into medical dramas? My daughter and I love medical dramas, but we saw 911 this week, I think it was, where they were saving Mark Consuelos from the belly of a whale. And I'm like, okay, it's getting a little far-fetched, but are you into those or do you like something completely different?
Completely
Your off
different.
time. Yeah.
But I was like before medical school, before my training and everything. Yes, I was.
They didn't teach you what to do when someone's in the belly of a whale? I mean,
no. So, like as I got deeper into my training, I just couldn't watch those anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine.
yeah. But lately, and I've been telling everyone about this, I've been watching, well, I finished it now, Wednesday. I don't know
Oh,
when.
yes. Yeah.
I just love it. Like it's
Yeah.
my husband's like, are you still watching?
Same.
Yeah.
My husband likes it too. My daughter's been into it and it's a really good show. It's done really well. It's cute.
And that's also going to be our Halloween costumes. I will be Morticia this year.
Yes, I love
My
it.
wedding will be Wednesday, so we're just into it right now.
Yeah. The timing, I mean, obviously for marketing purposes, they did it well right before Halloween. We're all about the spooky stuff.
Right.
Okay, so to kick off this episode on a positive note, spoiler alert, it's all about positivity today. But I usually say, as parents, we all tend to focus on academics when we raise our kids, make sure you get good grades, do your homework, learn your ABCs, all that fun stuff. But now I feel like our generations were learning to shift towards the SEL basics too, or the social emotional learning basics, right? And I think that is so important, even more important than the ABCs, because it's truly that stepping stone to achieving all other goals. Like once you come from an emotionally stable and regulated state. And I know sometimes hearing the word positivity can be like, oh, that's, a little hippie and woo woo and whatever, but it's not that life is all about, rainbows and unicorns all the time, but it's about there's really a deeper root for seeding that positivity mindset. And that's based around building confidence and self esteem and finding gratitude. And that will carry our littles throughout their life, which means they're going to have highs and lows and valleys and peaks, and really how to overcome those or work through that. So, can you tell us about, what was your motivation and thoughts behind writing a children's book about positivity?
Yeah, so I came to the realization maybe, I don't know, I think it was around like 2021 that I just had like a really negative outlook on things, like if presented with a new challenge, it was always like, oh my God,
Yeah.
hard, I can't do it. Or, a lot of times I find that I know I can do it, but I know what it will take to get to do, to get me there. And that alone is just sort of this like negative. And so I said one day, like, why do I do this? Like,
Yeah.
what is up with this? And, you have the power to change it. Like your first sort of reaction doesn't have to be something negative. Like it's just as possible something amazing could happen.
Right.
And I wow, like, why did it take me until I was like an adult to learn this? And then I said, well, I definitely want to teach this to my kids. And then I thought, well, I'll write a book about it. And so that's kind of how it started. And then, when I think about like what I was going through at the time, so around that time, my mom had like a massive stroke. Um,
Oh,
and so she was in the ICU for a while. Fortunately, my job let me work from her ICU. So I did a lot of like editing of this book, like while my mom was in the ICU and I was at her bedside.
yeah.
And throughout all of, like, my mom couldn't speak. She was intubated, all these things. And I still felt the sense of like, wow, she's still trying to teach me how to kind of move forward, how to fight, like how to overcome adversity. I could feel that while I was
Yeah.
there in the hospital bed. And so that kind of like really propelled me like, okay, this is not just going to be like, something I teach my kids. Like everyone needs to learn this. And so that kind of like was the impetus behind, it became the impetus behind the book.
Yeah.
And even like the main character, Penelope, she's kind of like my story, but Penelope's a nickname I call my mom, even though that's not her name at
Yeah.
all. But I think about how Penelope looks. I gave the illustrator a picture of my daughter. So it's like the three of us in one kind of,
Yeah.
in this story.
That's
So
really, I love that. It's like generationally, we're handing things down and making them better. And, wanted to do as parents, you want to teach our kids and do more for our kids than we had. Not that we, necessarily had to have had, bad childhoods or anything like that. But it's like you always want to give your kids more. Like, what can you learn and give from them? And, that's one of the things I love about children's books. I say this all the time. I read more kid lit than I do adult books, but as
hey,
adults you learn so much from it and you're like, oh, that is a really good point. Maybe I should do that. And we're teaching ourselves alongside our kids, and ultimately we're their role models, and we are the ones that need to be modeling the behavior and reading the books with them and talking about these conversations that we didn't have necessarily as kids, just because we didn't focus on that kind of stuff back then. And I love that it can become a full family, learning process together versus just, always teaching our kids stuff. But yeah, I love that motivation behind the story. That's beautiful.
thank you.
So you'll hear the term, growth mindset, positivity mindset, which our earlier generations, like we said, they just didn't really know to focus on. But I think it's such a key to living a truly more meaningful and purposeful life, not just going through the motions, but really being able to instill in our kids and ourselves that there's something within us that can fulfill us, that we can accomplish, that we can serve others, and that in turn leads to happier, more emotionally stable life. That doesn't exclude, like you said, challenges or, having the tools to face and regulate more smoothly through those. So you are so inspiring, successful, and living in your purpose. But was having that mindset something you always had, or did you struggle with, that growing up? And how did it, lead you to where you are now?
Yeah, I definitely struggled with this growing up. And, my parents were great. They've always supported all my goals, but this was never like this topic of just sort of like believing in yourself,
Yeah.
having that positive outlook. That was never discussed. And I was struggling with that a lot. I think about after I finished medical school, I was in residency, right? So I already had my medical degree and I was seeing patients as a resident. And when I would introduce myself, I would never say, oh, and I was Dr. Smith at that time.
Hmm.
I would never say, hi, I'm Dr. Smith. I would say, oh, just call me Charnetta. And it wasn't like, of course I wanted to create like a good rapport with my patients, but a big part of that was because I didn't believe, like I had already done it. I had, earned the degree, but it didn't feel real to me. I didn't feel like I was good enough for it. And so I remember even when I got married, we had a wedding planner, and like this was like maybe a few days before my wedding, and she's like, "Why aren't you saying doctor this?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, like, and I was just like, oh, whatever, but it's just like I still couldn't like kind of like own that part, right? I
That
just couldn't.
imposter syndrome. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like you've been working. I've wanted to become an OBGYN since I was 10 years old.
Oh,
Okay. And I'm like, so now you finally like have earned this and you don't own it because of this. Like that's how profound it was for me.
yeah.
And I do not want this for my kids. And so yeah, I definitely struggled with it. I couldn't like name it until until much later. But now that I can, I openly talk about it with my daughter. When we're doing something that maybe she's a little bit uncomfortable with. For example, she's in karate and she was like moving up to the next class, and it was sort of a big deal because she was in like the preschool class and now she's going to be with the big,
Oh,
and she was really worried. And I said, that feeling that you feel like your stomach hurts, you feel a little queasy, like that's the means that you're about to do something amazing. Like I'm trying to flip it around for her. So it's not
excitement. Yeah.
right. Like you can take that because in a lot of ways, when I think about my life, that self-doubt, that fear, it propelled me, right? I was like, okay, well, I have to do it in spite of, but it didn't have to be that hard. I
Yeah.
could have just, I recognize it, I see it, and I'm still going to move past it. I just kind of let it weigh me down. And so for her, I just say, whenever she's feeling this like anxiousness about trying something new or something's challenging, I say, that feeling, that means you're on to something great.
Hmm. I
Trying
tell
to for her.
Yeah, I tell my kids that too because it means you care about it, and that's good. That's a good thing that you care, that if you're nervous about, a performance or, so whatever's coming up, having that little bit of anxiety, it's excitement and, you want to do well and that's a good thing. And so lean into it, even though it feels hard or awkward at first.
Right, right.
So I've posted about positive affirmations before, but you also have a resource series around that as well. So can you tell us, like, what affirmations mean to you, your kids, and how and when you like to use them?
Yeah. So, when I created the book, it was all about just helping kids have that confidence in themselves. But, as I learned more about this topic, like growth mindset, that was not in my sort of real, like
Yeah.
reality. I didn't write this book to align with the growth mindset. I wrote it and then realized, wow, it really does
Yeah.
align with. So affirmations too, like that wasn't like my initial goal, but it's sort of the natural next step, right?
Hmm.
Trying to kind of speak positive thoughts, positive words into your life. I think, when I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I first started writing this book, the book was about like how to manifest things,
Yeah.
like how to bring something into reality. And I thought, wow, that's going to be really challenging to teach kids. But what I can do is teach them how to kind of develop this positive mindset because I really do think that everything starts with a thought, right?
Hmm.
So when I think about things that I've accomplished in my life, like, becoming a doctor and being a mom, like those were all thoughts at one point.
Right.
And I just kind of worked with, I just kept working on it and, here we are. And so I think, when I think about affirmations, that's what I think of, sort of like you're speaking it into existence, you're working towards, I mean, you can't just speak it, you have to work,
Right.
right? I'm hopefully not like a woo-woo magic, I'm going to say,
We wish, right?
I wish, but no, I think just to kind of to hold that vision for yourself. I think it's important, not just as adults, but as kids as well, because they're
Yeah.
accomplishing things all the time. They're learning things all the time. So to be able to say, wow, this is challenging right now, but it's not always going to be this way. Yeah, so that's what I think of as affirmations. And then, when I think about how I use them, I would say for anyone listening, like it doesn't have to be this formal thing. Like I feel like we've seen
Every
sort of
morning, you have to say these five ones, Yeah.
like very ritualized formal thing. And for me, it's not that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I found, especially because our mornings are very hectic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yep.
A
Yep.
lot of like, come on, come on, and
Get
get
out
your
the door now. That's my affirmation. Hurry up.
right. It's a very hectic. I'm trying to make that better, but right now it's very hectic. Like I'm just gonna,
Yes.
it's reality, right? And so I don't have time for affirmations until we get into the car. So
Yeah.
one thing I try to be really intentional about is that by the time my daughter is walking into school and I walk her to the door, like all of the frenzy of the morning that has that's behind us now,
Yeah.
right? As I'm walking her to the door, I always say things to her and I'll ask her to say it too, like, I'm gonna have a great day. I'm gonna learn all these amazing things. I may make mistakes. That's okay. So and I don't practice it. It's sort of whatever just comes to me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's sort of how I use affirmation. So it's not really this sort of like, we're going to stare in the mirror, we're going to say these things. It's sort of, we're walking to school and I want you to go into school feeling good and feeling ready to learn. So that's kind of how I use them.
I love that you pointed that out too, because even as like, an SEL author and, I have this whole podcast and I talk about all these things to do, putting them in practice every day is, not always realistic. It's hard to do even for me and for therapists have on, all kinds of teachers, whatever. I mean, it's just hard sometimes, but I love that you have pointed out that because I didn't realize that that's what we do too in the car. We kind of live out, just about 15 minutes from school. And so getting out the door is all hands on deck. But once we get in the car, I do switch the intentions on. Okay, we're going to put our music on. We're going to say, okay, what are we looking forward to today? You always say today's a great day to have a great day, like those kinds of things, getting them, set up for, walking in the door and what that looks like. And so I love that you point that out, that it doesn't have to be a very formal, place where, okay, we're going to say this at this time every day, the same kind of thing. It's, even if you're in the car and as a parent, that is a great strategy to try to do is to make sure you're sending your little babies off with a calm, mindset when they get in the classroom. And as a teacher, former teacher, we appreciate that. But really, it's just whatever you think your child is going through that morning, whatever they might, if they have a test, saying, okay, we're ready, we can face this, we can do our best. That's all we can do is our best. And, kind of setting them up for the day through those morning affirmations. So I love that.
Or, like you said, whatever, like I've used it, when we're in karate class or going to
Yeah.
karate. Or she was doing, dance class and was afraid to get on the stage. Perfect time. So I kind of try to weave them in naturally with,
Yeah.
whatever. But I do find that I'm more consistent after the frenzy of the morning rush on
Yes.
the way to school. I just find it just feels like a natural time to do it, to talk about these things. So.
Yeah. And that's what I love about LCL. It's really naming stuff, naming your feelings and identifying them. And when you say them out loud, it's something different. It just releases it from your body. And it's not, this pent up anxiety. And it's like, I can say it out loud. That gives me, a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, I guess affirmation. But it gives you that more confidence to say, okay, this is real. I said it out loud. I can, accomplish this or work through this. And I guess makes it more of a concrete thing for kids instead of, abstract things that are just floating around their head. It's something concrete that they can hear and see.
Yeah, I think for me, I would love it if, I feel like I'm at the point now in my journey where when those feelings start to come up, I can kind of be like a fly in the world on the wall, kind
Mm-hmm.
of observe my own thoughts and say, okay, I recognize what this is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it go through, but I'm gonna still move forward. And I think for a lot of us, we're not able to name it, right? Like we don't really know what it is. We just feel like, wow, that just looks like something I can't do.
Yeah.
Don't realize it's that self-doubt monster,
Mm-hmm.
again. And so to help kids to be able to name it, to recognize it, and know how to move past it. That's the goal.
Yeah. I love that. It's so important. Okay, so let's dive into your adorable book. It's called Penelope and the Power of Positivity. So, one, Penelope, like I said, is absolutely adorable. And of course, I love her glasses. And the fact that you can get your own glasses on your website is so cute. But in the story, she has her companions, self doubt and fear, who are looming around until she meets Miss Positivity. And this changes her whole world. So, can you tell us about the story itself and what you want kids to really learn and take away from it?
Yeah, so Penelope is an 8-year-old girl from New York. And she's really smart, really creative, and she really loves science. And she has a dream of becoming a doctor one day as well.
Oh.
Um, Problem is, her two best friends are named Fear and Self-Doubt. And anytime Penelope is sort of like on to something new, trying a new experiment, she always like literally sends self-doubt and doubt an invitation. It's sort of a way to figuratively represent what a lot of us do, when we invite self-doubt in as well.
Yeah, we don't realize it, but we do. Yeah.
Right. We don't realize it, but in the book, you literally see her sending an invitation to self-doubt. And guess what? Every time she invites him, he always comes, but never
Hmm.
he comes with his best friend named Fear. And I really wanted to put those two together because I realize in our lives, self-doubt and fear always travel together, right? A
Yeah.
lot of we're doubtful of something because we fear the unknown or we're fearful of it, right? And if we're
Mhm.
fearful of something, we often will doubt ourselves. So they kind of always travel together. And same thing in the book. And so every time Penelope is trying to do something, here comes self-doubt and fear, self-doubt reminding her that she's not smart enough or it's just not going to work, just give up now. And
Yeah.
fear saying, I don't think you want to do it. It's a little too scary. Aren't you afraid of that? So those two are always there. And so one day Penelope realizes, wow, like I know this is hard, but I feel like if I gave myself a little time, I could do this. And all of a sudden she bumps into new friends, positivity being one of them, and positivity introduces her to other cool friends like bravery and hope and determination. And she realizes, wow, I don't really have to hang out with self-doubt and fear as much.
Yeah. And I love that it doesn't have to be perfect either. It's positivity is not about, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it everything perfectly, and it's going to be, everything's going to be, sunshine and rainbows all the time. But it's just having that, like you said, like the bravery or the hope or the determination to, hey, maybe I can try it. Like what's the worst that could happen if I just try? So I love that message for kids because I feel like there is a lot of pressure, or they put a lot of pressure on themselves to be perfect all the time the first time. Like when I was teaching art, I had to teach them how to sketch because they would want to come through with the pen or the marker, the permanent marker, and just have it a perfect circle the first time. I said, no, it's about lightly sketching, and then you can find your shape, and then you can come back and erase what you don't want, and then darken up what you do want. And they're like, wait, what? Like I literally had to teach them how to start off imperfectly and how to perfect it and work on it. And so that was really when I realized that I'm like, they don't know that it's okay to make a mistake at first, and you can of course carry that through whatever they're doing. So it's really just interesting to have the kids' mind work like that.
Right.
So
Yeah. I was going to ask you, have you heard of the book? And I just learned about this book a few months ago called The Dot.
yes, yeah, that's a favorite one in art. And also Beautiful Oops is another favorite art book I like in the classroom, where if you make a mistake, you can turn it into something beautiful, or, you can take one little thing and turn it into whatever. It's like, tapping into their creativity and their imagination means it's okay to mess up. It's okay not to love and do things perfectly every time. Like that's the journey, the process in itself. So I love those two. Yeah. So I do want to add a couple more books that remind me of this topic. One is by Brenda Lee. It's called The Girl Who Makes a Million Mistakes. And the character illustrations remind me of Cricket Green. I don't know if you've seen that show in Disney. It cracks me up and my kids love it. But it goes along with the sentiment of life is not always going to be easy, but if we can keep a positive outlook on turning mistakes into determination and confidence and keep calm and cool, then we can get closer to our goals. And this poor character, poor Millie, she messes up everything. So if she can do it, we can do it. I also love Mr. Maloof by my friend Danielle and Marietta. And I love it because it's about a young boy who is known for his silly antics, but as an older gentleman, he seemed to have lost his sense of humor until a group of neighborhood kids forced him to kind of tap back into his playful side. And I love that it's just a reminder to it's okay to have fun and be silly and mess up and make mistakes and find joy in these little moments, not only for our young kids, but also when we get older too. Um, and lastly, of course, there's The Bad Seed as part of the amazing series by Jory John. But The Bad Seed always has a no good, terrible outlook, and he's lost all hope. And he has the power of changing his pessimistic tendencies into more positive, but not perfect attempts. And he's turned his little seed life around by trying things out. So we will link, as always, all of these books in the show notes and on our website for you guys to check out. Okay, so before you go, Dr. Netta, can you tell our listeners how they can connect with your book and your author journey?
Sure. So you can find my book at my website. It's pictureperfectreads.com. That's pictureperfectreads.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at pictureperfectreads as well.
Love that. From a marketing standpoint, very consistent, easy to remember. I'll link those as well. And I know it's not book related, but I just have to mention the mom spa. And on your OB, taking off your author hat and putting on your OBGYN hat. It sounds like literal heaven on earth. Can you tell us a little bit about this retreat center for postpartum moms that you've created in Atlanta? Can you come to Houston as well?
So I know you said it, let me take off my author hat and put on my
Hmm.
OBGYN hat, but I'm gonna say I'm really putting on my mom hat with this one.
Yes.
So I have two kids. I've
Hmm.
gone through postpartum journeys, both of them very difficult. And honestly, nothing could have prepared me for that. Not medical school, not residency, not practicing as an OBGYN, nothing prepared me for that. Not talking to my mom. It's just one of those things that you kind of have to go through, right?
Yes.
Um, And so a few years ago, I became aware of like this sort of heaven on earth
Hmm.
that actually became aware of a postnatal retreat first in New York. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I wish I had a place where I could go after I have my kids, where I could just be pampered for a little bit,
Yeah.
kind of take care of me because I really do feel like, as a society in general, when someone is having a baby, as momentous as it is, we forget that there is a mom there where there wasn't a mom before. And that is a huge transition. And
Yes.
as emphasis as we put on the baby, I think we need to put some of that emphasis on the mom as well. And so the Mom Spa ATL is a place where moms can come after they deliver. You can stay anywhere from 3 days to up to 7 days, even longer if you wish, and we will take care of you. So you come with your baby, but if you want to say, hey, I would like to sleep tonight, we will take the baby for you. We will also bring the baby back when they're ready to feed if you're exclusively breastfeeding. During your stay, you'll also be pampered with like a spa service.
Yes.
We'll also meet with we call the person a mommy motivator. It's someone who is there to kind of help you think about the transition that you're going through or that you just went through. Well, it's still going. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
4 years postpartum and it's ongoing.
Hmm.
But to kind of work through some of those challenges, to think about your new role, how you fit in, and what self-care could mean for you. Um, and then you'll also, we really want to create that village for you so you don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't experienced the postpartum period yourselves, it can be very isolating, very.
Yes.
And I found a lot of solace when I went to like mommy groups and could meet with other moms who were in the same phase of life as myself. It could say, hey, is anyone else going through this? And feeling like, oh, we're all going through this. It's just that no one's talking about it.
Or there's
So
not like a place to come together to talk. There's Facebook groups and things like that, and hopefully people can find other moms in their area. But I just remember that feeling, especially after your first one, you're in the hospital for, a day or two, and then they're like, okay, bye. And you're like, oh, whoa, wait, I'm taking this tiny human home. Like, what now? What do I do? Like you literally don't know what to do. And of course, you might have family around and stuff, but it would just be such a relief and so restful and less stressful to know that you go to a place like that where they're like, I got you, whether you need this or that. I mean, because y'all have meals, y'all have, like you said, the spa treatments, y'all have doctors on staff, you have a lovely staff that's taking care of everything. So,
It
what
gives
an
people to
amazing,
ask questions too, right? There's so many questions.
yes, our lactation consultants, all the things.
All
Yeah.
the things, lactation support. We have postpartum doulas so that you can get your questions asked. Because a lot of times you don't, you have your 6 week postpartum visit and it's 15 minutes
Yeah.
and
It's like, okay,
you
see you in 6 weeks. I'm like, wait, that's a long time. What do I do until then?
right, right.
I love that. So do you have a website and Instagram or Facebook for that?
Yes, you can find our website. It's themomspa.org, and you can find us on Instagram at the Mom Spa ATL. So it's two A's for the spa and
Oh,
ATL.
Spot NATL. Love that. Yeah, I immediately started checking that out just because I was so intrigued by it. I love it. Okay, so what a positively uplifting episode. Thank you so much, Dr. Netta, for joining us. And I hope you guys have all gained a couple of inspirational nuggets on nurturing the positivity mindset. And in the words of my beloved Nick Hexum, he says, stay positive and love your life. And we'll see you guys next time on the Blooming Books podcast. Thanks again, Dr. Charnetta.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Blooming Books podcast, recorded and produced by Blooming Rose Kids. We've opted to keep our series ad-free, and if you'd like to support our efforts, please consider shopping our own custom-signed Blooming Rose books at bloomingrosekids.com and our academic materials on our Teachers Pay Teachers page. All of the books mentioned in this episode are also available via our affiliate links in the show notes. We so appreciate you being here and hope to see you next time.